Hello. Today we're going over my logic file for Flowers for Algernon. So I wrote this song based on the short story. For those of you who haven't read it, it's about this man who gets his IQ surgically tripled or something. So he starts at 60 and he just becomes the smartest person in the world. And it's all written in first person, sort of through journal entries. So it's this really intimate look onto this character and how they're feeling, and it sort of documents where he starts, and he's writing in broken English and bad spelling, and then it sort of becomes learns multiple languages overnight, and then sort of the fall of that, and then it's just this sort of really just heartbreaking story. I definitely recommend you give it a read. It's a 20-30 minute read or something, if that. Yeah, Flowers for Algernon, it's just so beautiful. So I tried to write a song sort of from that perspective. What if I had this sort of procedure, I guess, but for songwriting. So I was going, and I tried to write it sort of at the point where I'm past and I'm on this decline, and I can remember this. I can remember having all these tools and ability and everything just being so easy for me, but I'm losing it. So I was trying to capture that sort of space where I haven't completely forgotten, but I can remember having so much. So I start with some choir sounds. This is arpeggio sounds, and this is the main chord progression that I was working with. All right, and also, so this is back to my stock discount art vocals. Flowers for Algernon. So I get these vocals, I get this tone just using the stock Logic pitch correction. I just slide it all the way down, set my key, and then that's how you get that sort of T-Painy sound, that auto-tune sound. Very, and I sort of like it because it, especially for the sort of sadder songs, because my voice is so resonant in that sort of lower mids. It's so warm and aggressive, that this sort of really smooths it out, and it sort of changes the color of my voice in my mind from this sort of red orange sort of sharpness into a really sort of light blue. And I sort of like working with that texture more for my own music. I think it serves the way I write. So I get this sound too by stacking three of them. Three is sort of like my magic number. Just doing the same thing. So I set that up for every track. And then what I did is there's four of these. Flowers for Algernon. I panned it, balanced it, and then I just printed everything because I could already tell, even in my demo stage, that this was going to be like a really large file. I think this 53 different tracks. So when you start getting up there, you're limited by your computer. At least I am with mine. So as much stuff as you can print, the better. and it takes a lot of processing power to process like all of that, all the pitch correction. And when I'm working, here's like this background stack, yeah, and you can see so all these different things. Every one of these has got three pitch corrections on them. So your computer just, or at least mine, can't process all that and still work and still like work in any sort of reasonable time. So I've just started printing a lot of stuff. So I printed that. Flowers for Algernon. And then I have it doubled here. This sort of same thing on this vocals. For Algernon. This is all been printed, and then I'm taking and EQing it from there and compressing it. So I don't know how to write a song anymore, but I knew this is a really simple kick pattern. I'm sort of think it would hurt like this. At this point, I'm trying to set this sort of like space where I'm really just I have this moment where I'm reflecting on how I've lost. So I'm trying to like give this sort of quiet, like intimate space where I can sort of say what's on my mind. I don't know how to write a song anymore. Right, like I've lost that. So I have that's mostly through the same choir sound that's still going, and that's an Arturia sound, and that's all printed. Print your midis. And a lot of that too is here's this synth bass that's sort of I tried to mix it so it sort of captures all of this below area. I was really trying to think about mixing top down as opposed to left and right, and just trying to figure out how to really place things in 3 dimensions. That was a big thing that I was working on in the mix. So I got this sort of big bass sound where it's taking up a lot of space, but it's not in the way by lots of compression. So this is after it's been printed, and it's a MIDI. This is like a stock Logic sound. So generally you don't really have to do a lot of stuff to your MIDI. You definitely don't have to like compress it all the time, because a lot of that stuff has already been processed. So I started off with just a compressor, so relatively light threshold, but yeah, this is for the sidechain from the kick. So I have that fast attack, sort of slow release. It's just made this big sound. I have an 1176 on it because I like that, especially for bass. That's just a preset. And then here's another compressor, just making it even bigger. I've turned off the auto gain. And then I have another compressor coming in from the kick again to really get this sort of pumping. There's probably a little extra, but I like how it ended up. And then on my EQ, to sort of capture this like carved space for it, I have it in stereo. I actually don't need this. So I have it in stereo. And then I'm cutting anything below 20 because that just gets a little bit too muddy. I've done this on pretty much everything. And then because there's always low mid buildup, I cut the mid. And then to make it narrower, I've cut a lot of the highs out from the sides. So this is like a mid-side EQ. So this side right here, it cuts a lot of it. So it makes it, the way with the compressors, it makes it narrower, the sound, if you're cutting from the sides, right? but with all the compressors forcing it where I've have it, it brings it lower too, so it sort of captures this like big space underneath. Yeah, so that's this bass, and that's like a big foundation for this song. If we just strip it to this like kick pattern and vocals, this is sort of the song. This is all I really needed to like make the song work. It forms the chords, and just it really sets the tone. So we go back, and these are just little things. You got a B3 and everything, because a B3 is just making your air sound like something, instead of just quiet. It's a easy way to sort of introduce this like fullness without like taking up too much room. So lots of stuff has a B3 on it. If you're ever listening to really anything, but a lot of pop music too, this is the sound of air in music. It's just a B3 going. So all that I have on this is just an imager to just make it wider. And it's just a pad really going. And then this was my favorite sound, and I had to bury it because it was kind of the tone got a little grating, but it's just I called it ooh you 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 because it sort of sounds very ooh you you you. You can sort of. And it just helps the groove move. It's something that you're not really supposed to notice, but it helps it feel like it's moving forward. And then this is a whole bunch of different vocal takes, comped together, then restarted and everything. And then here's just another Logic like guitar sim, basically. And then this is something that I got shout outs to Colin Keller. You just cut everything off from 10K because guitar amps can't make that, and it makes it sound a little bit more real. Your sort of modeled guitar sound, so it helps it sit a little bit better. And then low cut everything. I probably could have low cut this a little bit more, but you know, whatever. And then here's just like this sort of ping pong is sort of work with the ooey ooey to sort of set this mood. I just didn't think it would hurt like this. I felt like giving up the other day. Fire comes back in. I'm so tired. Oh yeah, here's a little fun one. So I have this automated, this like delay. You can see it's off right now on the snare, and then it turns on, and then it's just a 16th note delay, and it gives you that like, and so full of shit. It helps that sort of halftime feel a little bit more. It's a little bit less scary to be in, if that makes any sense. Instead of just like boom, boom. Ksh. We could play it. I'll show you without the snare delay. Yeah, it sounds so dry. So that snare delay is like, it's really nice to have. And then here's something I agonized over, is this like drop. Being so full of shit. So here's the printed flowers for Algernon stack again. And then here's, I call these glee ass noises because this is the same it's another Arturia sound. It kind of sounds like that like synth vocals that was in the Glee intro to me. But again, it's just little things that help that groove sit, so you keep bopping, right? And all these things are supposed to really work together, so you're not really hearing any of it, but you're feeling it. You're feeling everything. So this is a Rip Momney rip off. I love Rip Momney, and I was going for some Rip Momney vibes on this one, especially off the first record. So that sort of melody, it was one that he used a lot in this first record as sort of the main theme of that record. And I have that going. So this one, actually, this is a fun one to talk about, where this is just the wet of a reverb. So it was a little bit too present no matter where I placed this sound, but I wanted it to work with the other Rip Momney sort of line. But I just said, forget it. Let's just have the wet of the reverb, and then I'll mix it from there. And it creates this sort of top, like, ceiling to my sound too. So this you have this synth and then this working together, and it feels like it's like you're setting the room. They're sort of meeting a little bit in the middle, and you have this like space right here where your vocals can sit, like right at eye level basically, and a lot of your sort of more production stuff. So I try to place the Glee noises right there. So, and then this, I don't have it automating, I just have this like crazy spread going, so it sort of moves, creating that motion so it doesn't get too boring. And then as you fill in all the rest of this space, and then this piano, this is the same sort of melody. The organ, you can hear it behind everything. And then here's some guitar, just keeping the groove going. Here's the ping pong of the bass again. And then this is reinforcing this sort of organ sound to make this tonally different, this like texture. So this is sitting a little bit more forward than the B3 is, but it's all sort of making this like cave, like the stage that you're watching for vocals to sit in. And then I have the background sort of sitting back in this cave. Hi-hats come in, and these are panned in such a way where you can sort of feel the movement going.
I never tried, looked in the mirror, see I never tried.
And this is where I get into the sort of personal part. Like, I have the written from the perspective, and then you always got to include a little bit of you in it. So this next verse is the sort of self-reflection of what did I do when I had this this like ability, right? This like genius level songwriting, and it's sort of like reflecting and not thrilled with what I've done. And then this sound is same sort of auto-tune, the pitch correction, it's all printed on there. Only thing different here is I have a little bit of the little altar boy, which just
I looked in the mirror, I see I never tried, never tried.
this one's actually bust out. I'll talk about those in a second. But so this is just adding a little bit more like grit to the voice. It's not so smooth.
I looked in the mirror, I see I never tried, never tried. Looked in the mirror, see I never tried. I'm turning 30 soon.
It adds just a little bit of warmth.
I don't even know what I sound like.
You can't really you feel it in the mix. It just adds this sort of like presence. It helps things cut without adding too much volume, because I really wanted it to sit in a sort of like Rip Momney Tame Impala-esque location. I wanted the vocals to sit. So and then this is all these buses. So bus 256 is my vocal side chain. 255 is my my kick side chain. So these are just bussing all the vocals out to a bus that has no output. So I can use that as a side chain instead of using this as the side chain. It's just a little bit cleaner. You could be a little bit more crazy with your channel strip if you bus out your sidechain stuff. So this is a little bit of delay, like a little bit of slapback delay to create a little bit more space, because coming from here, there's just so much more going on. It's a lot denser. The arrangement gets like it's quadrupled in denseness, right? So just carving out a little bit of space. Here is just a reverb, and then this is that sort of like lower octave sound when we had it soloed. I have this. This is oh my goodness, my brain's not working. A saturation plugin from FabFilter, and it's sort of like it has a lot of stuff, but I have it just sort of, it's like tape saturation, and then that with a little altar boy to just create a little bit more like drive. So you're not really supposed to hear any of this stuff in the mix, but it just makes your vocals like it makes the vocals really thick.
I looked in the mirror, I see I never tried.
And you can sort of you can feel it, and then this right here is just doubled
in the mirror, I see I never tried.
Of the same thing with a little bit more pitch cleaning on it, just to thicken up the vocals. I know this is like a lot in Justin Bieber. He uses this a lot, or the engineer or whatever, where they'll record like 8 or 9 vocal takes, but then they'll melodyne all of it all together. So you get this like really thick vocal for it. So I'm doing something similar here, where but it's all the same vocal take.
I looked in the mirror, I see I never tried.
So if we cut that out,
mirror, see I never tried.
so you're not getting a lot of like different the sort of like micro differences, but it is this sort of thickness. And then because if you go in here on the flex pitch, I've removed all the sort of vibrato from this one, so it's not triggering the same way. So this is a lot smoother, these sort of background sounds.
I looked in the mirror, I see I never tried. Looked in the mirror, see I never tried.
So it's all little ways to get your vocals to just sit where you want them without just making them loud. Because I don't really, I wanted this sort of arrangement to speak. So let's listen to this section. this hi-hat section was really fun to do.
I looked in the mirror,
Just real quick while this is going, I have just a parallel compression. I have 2 reverbs because I'm crazy. This is a room verb, and then this is like the drum reverb, and then this is the parallel compression. So it just helps it be a little bit more present. This like parallel compression right here. If you turn it off, sort of.
I don't even know what I sound like.
It gives your drums just a little bit more like smack. Like it just feels, they feel more like drums than like tones. And then also have a little bit of real bass, just to keep that pulse going.
I'm turning 30
anything I can do to sort of reinforce this pulse and introduce these like little changes in the arrangement to keep it interesting.
I'm turning 30 soon, and I don't even know what I sound like, or feel like, or sound like, or feel like. You don't even know that every song I've written.
So this transition, this section here, I spent like 8 or 9 hours trying to get it to sit how I wanted. I could not figure this transition out. Like I tried everything. I tried like setting the drums up, all these little things. So in the end of the day, I have this backgrounds coming in for the first time. I have the same vocals, and I'm trying to like grow, get that some energy. I have that in the vocals. This is going, and then it cuts, so it just sort of hangs for a second. And I figured I ended with like space being the best transition into this next section.
Every song I've written.
And then there is a reverse cymbal swell. Also, this is just a shaker. This is like the only sort of real percussion that I did.
Sound like, or feel like, or sound like, I feel like.
It's those little things to keep the beat interesting. But so here's the standard
song I've written.
Reverse cymbal swell, and then that goes, and there's just a little bit of space in between.
I've written.
In between where the cymbal stops and the downbeat happens, just to, so it really feels like you're falling into that beat. Here's all this space, and then the vocals, and then just another thing. So these are harmonies of this, like, oh no, this is the same. These are 2 separate takes actually of this. So
every song I've written.
This is like so many artists do this. It's like a great way to sort of like, you have a vocal pan left and right, and it makes your sound so much wider. So I did that. I have the one in the middle, and then these are like supporting in this like background, and then all that like whoosh, wash is a shimmer reverb that I have going, excuse me, it helps. I really liked what it did with the high end. It provided that sort of like ceiling of the room. It made it a little bit bigger. I was just trying to get like a bigger room for this part. And also like, I really like the sound of shimmer reverb. So it's on this background set.
Song I've written in the past.
And then my glee noises are back. You can't really like, you can feel them, and everything. It just keeping that thickness.
In the past year.
But the main sound right here is big bass. So it's compressed and then sidechain to the kick because I'm just getting that pump. But so this is 4 different synth basses all together. And it's just here. This is like the sine wave. It's sort of like a starry one. This one's pumping. It's sort of morphine modulating. And then this one's the one that's got the most EQ to it. So this is so it doesn't fight the that sort of like starry synth, but it just captures it. So I wanted the starry synth to sort of sit on top, like the main sound. The subs sit on bottom, so it just feels really big. And this was to sort of sit in the middle, so you have to carve it out so it's really sitting, and then it makes it wider. So I really wanted this just like huge bass sound, huge like synth sound, and then this pulsing, this like sort of modulating one. It helps helps it sort of like pulse and pump all throughout it. So I really like that like drop into this sort of breakdown.
Every song I've written in the past year,
I think it just hits so hard.
To myself,
and then I've got lots of background vocals, so just this like, and then this is also obviously this this is the part that is the most true, that's not sort of written from the character's perspective, but sort of from my perspective. This thing, this is, and this song has also been like really cathartic for me because I have been trying to write this song for a really long time, and I've been really struggling with it. So every song I've written in the past year, I wrote a little note to myself saying no one's gonna hear it. Have you heard it? It's been in every song that so that's sort of like stream of consciousness almost. I've been writing. I've been like really trying to get this sort of like a little bit more honest, to not sort of speak in metaphor. So I've been like, I've had this line, this exact line, like wrote a little note to myself saying no one's gonna hear it. This like, I don't think anyone's gonna hear this song. Like, I bet you no one's gonna hear this song. I've written that like line literally into maybe 20 songs that I've written over the past year, and I've been really struggling with sort of just like the confidence in my own writing, really just struggling with finishing songs like I never used to do. So this song has been really nice for me to write, to try and like get over this roadblock. Just sort of like, as I was rereading the book Flowers for Algernon, I was just sort of like seeing so much of my own self and my own like artistry in it. Sort of like, I remember when I could sit down and write a song, and I just can't do that right now. I'm just so blocked. I've put so much pressure on myself. So this was the actual, like, after I had the idea to sort of frame this idea in the Flowers of Algernon sort of setting, I guess. This is the first sort of section that I wrote. I've written in the past year. I wrote a little note, and I didn't know where it was gonna be, but I knew that this is like the song that I've been this is the song where I really wanted to put that idea, where I think that idea that I've been toying with finally makes sense. So that's why I think one of the reasons too that this ended up being so many tracks, because I had a lot to prove to myself on this one. I just really wanted to just have this sort of like cinematic almost, and really use all the tools that I have and tell a story and not like half-ass it. So this is sort of like, this is the bet to myself. This is the and this is honest. So this is not saying that I don't think people listen to my music, because I do, and I'm so appreciative of that. Like, I'll never really truly be able to explain that, but this is like, I've lost a bet with myself so many times that this is just sort of explaining that, and also this is sort of me cashing in on this for myself, and also I think this bridge is sort of, it kicks, right? I'm happy with
every song I've written.
So we're back
in the past year. I wrote a little
back on the snare with the delay.
No one's gonna
We got a
hear
little bit of shaker just to keep it going.
It's been in every song that I wrote in the past year. I wrote a little note to
And then that
myself, saying
second half,
that I wrote in the past
extra
year.
juice.
To myself, saying no one's gonna hear.
And then this is like
every song that I wrote in the past year.
it's kind of, it's weird hearing these isolated, because you're supposed to hear them like in this mix.
It's been in every song,
and it just sort of like, it's just another way to just create interest and make this sort of sound thicker, right? That's the.
It's
so,
been in every song that I wrote in the past year. I wrote a little note to myself, saying no one's gonna hear.
And then
have you heard it?
I cut the glee noises there because like it got a little bit
No
too.
one's gonna hear it. Have you heard
You
it?
didn't want to hear
Every song
after this point. So.
Have you heard it? It's been in every song.
And then this is like my outro, that, and sort of returning to the character, and this is how the character knows that it's not forever. Is this sort of like, so it was tested on a mouse before it was tested on the human, and like he couldn't beat the mouse in a maze, but now he like. The mouse can't run the maze anymore, and it's like, oh no, the process isn't forever, and everyone sort of knows. So, and you could say like, the mouse Algernon bit his fingers, becoming irritable, is losing its sort of super intelligence.
In every song, bit my finger yesterday.
So yeah.
I know it means I'm going away soon.
Yeah, and I sort of like this line took me a long time to write, just to phrase it quite how I wanted, and like I know it's going away, like what it was, but no, I
know it means I'm going away soon.
I think that like just sort of stripping that down, like I know it means I'm going away. I know it means this person that you've gotten to know is gone. This person will no longer exist, even though like the body still lives, and the person who it started as will be back. They're just two different people. So I really like sort of there's this just like power in that line, and like I wrote it and sang it and went, oh, I really feel good about how well this captured my my intention. Oh yeah, and then so like I was saying earlier, and then we're just stripped back all the way down to just bass, this like synth bass, vocals, and drums. And the drums are a little bit busier, because it sort of made sense for it to be a little bit more produced. It's sort of like scattered was what I was going for with the drums, where it's not like a really steady pattern in every song. This drum pattern. The only thing, this year really is grounding you is this sort of shaker. It's like it's still in time, but it's just it's not as like steady as it used to be. So yeah, it's like every song bit my finger yesterday. Right. I know it means I'm going away soon, but I just wanna write a song. And then I go to the major 2 there. It's sort of like this, like because we could say what we want, but Lizzie McAlpine, it came on and just completely, it just put this major 2 back in, and it's such like a I really like it because it's such a sort of like heartbreaking arrival point, because it is an arrival point, but it's not like final, but it's I was sort of using it to say like this is where I am. I just wanna write a song. And then this line like this is all very personal, right? So this is like a big arrival point for me too. This has only ever been my goal. I just wanna write a song that means something to someone. And then originally you could see it's supposed to go on like it's just a pretty sloppy cut, or not sloppy, but just like hard cut. Drums go on. Originally when I was like demoing this song and figuring out like all the sections and everything, I was like, oh, there could be a whole nother section to this song. But as I like kept working on it and kept writing it and like started fleshing it out, it's like this is the end of the song. Like it doesn't need more. So I had a whole nother maybe 30 seconds to a minute staying in this sort of drum feel, chords. I had all this stuff. The synth didn't go, but everything. I had a whole nother guitar track that was going on. It was sort of like guitar solo, and some like different sounds that just like were all in it, and it was a completely different feel. But when I got to like writing it, I was like, there's nothing else to say. There's anything more that I do will cheapen the song. So I just deleted everything, and then this is sang over the 4, so you sort of it's like I had a big old minor 4 because like I just can't not put a minor 4, so it's sort of implying that without playing it. And it just sort of ends. yeah, so that's the file for Flowers for Algernon. So the crazy thing is, I go through, and I was like, yeah, I finished the demo. I sort of working on it, and it's finally starting to turn into a song instead of just like a collection of ideas. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how long this song is gonna be, and it is 2 minutes and 41 seconds. I was like, what? The song felt like, I was like, wow, I'm really doing awesome. I felt like I was telling this like story, this like detailed story, and then I like checked the time, and I was like, oh man, this is probably like a 6-minute song. It's just gonna be so much. I wonder if it's gonna work. And I was like, oh wow, I got it under 3. But I mean, obviously this is very, very non-traditional form, right? So I have this intro, drums kick in, and then I just have like this first verse, second verse, kinda, and then I have a bridge and an outro. So like AABC almost. I mean, this is sort of like a recap, like a AABA sort of form. But I wasn't trying to write this with any sort of like form in mind. I was just like, what makes sense to happen next. I was trying to let the song speak, and let the sort of my let the story lead itself to where it wanted to go. So I guess oh, then here's another quick thing. Band bus is always really nice. Makes everything sort of a little bit tighter. But yeah, so I'm really, really happy with where this song ended up, both in terms of like writing, production, and mix. I'm really, really thrilled with sort of every part of it. I think it's been really rewarding. I think I had the idea. So I'm recording this on the 20th of March. I had the idea for this on the 13th, I think, where I finally sat down and like wrote. I like started with the with this sort of choir pad, like setting the pad to sort of start thinking about the song. So yeah, I'm really thrilled. I wonder how well it plays to someone who hasn't read the book, because I know a lot of it is very informed by the book. So I'd be curious. I'd love to know if you haven't read it, to see, and you listen to the song, if any of the stuff that I was working on like came across. But yeah, thanks as always for watching these. They're really fun to sort of go through and break down everything. So I'm excited to see y'all for the next one.